This short video is on how to use persuasive language. And I know that this front picture right here actually talks about how to write persuasively, but it really is the same thing, writing and speaking. So some of the slides may say write, but please know I do not want you to write your speech out. I'm really referring to how to speak persuasively. And I keep saying this over and over in my videos, but the truth is persuasion is a much different animal than an informative speech. When you are trying to persuade somebody, everything has to be deliberately planned and organized. So today I'm going to talk to you about what are some things that you should try to incorporate in your speech to increase your persuasiveness. So the first thing I want you to focus on is look at the language that you're using, and you want to make sure that your language is emotive. So emotive language often connects to pathos. So how much are you getting people to feel something? So when you're explaining something, describing something, giving examples of something, you want to make sure that you don't just give us the facts, but use words that's actually going to evoke some sort of empathy, some sort of emotion, some sort of response. The next thing that you have to do is you need to make sure that you incorporate facts, data, and other analytical information, because the way that we're actually going to understand this is when you allow us to see the information from different viewpoints. But in doing so, you have to make sure that you explain it all, connect back to emotive language in such a way that's actually going to make us feel something. Another way to get us to really listen to your message with a different set of ears is to actually talk about social impact. So, the social impact theory tries to assess how individuals can be sources of social influence, which produce the greatest influence. So, in other words, if you can tell me how my actions, my feelings, my thoughts, my behaviors, how that can have an impact on society as a whole in your presentation and get me to actually feel that I can make that difference, you will actually find that your persuasive message will be much stronger. This is a requirement, but when you are trying to persuade somebody, you do want to use the APAC model. And that is you need to take the time to bring up and cover the objections, but also confirm the fact that your point of view, what you're asking us to think, feel, or do, is actually more correct. And you can do that, by the way, by using the social impact theory. Draw attention to your points with rhetorical questions. Now more than ever, since we are not face to face, it's important for you to actually make me think, to stay engaged and stay involved. So a rhetorical question subtly influences the kind of response that you, the speaker, would want to get. The rhetorical question tends to prove effective much more so than a direct question or a direct assertion. And at some point, the rhetorical question challenges the listener and excites them to be more engaged and involved. So possibly think about as transition sentences, internal transition sentences. When you're giving examples, have us think about them through your use of rhetorical questions. This is probably one of the most important things. Again, especially since we're not face to face and your audience members, you cannot see them. You now need more than ever need to make sure that your speech has a really good hook, a really good attention getter, one that's going to draw them in. Monroe's motivated sequence, the very first step is tension. And I did say, if you went through that module, that you need to make sure that you have each of the 5 steps multiple times. So I don't want you to think of your attention getter as the only hook in your speech. Again, look at your transition sentences, your internal transition sentences, your main points. Look at those as ways to, again, continue to hook and keep us involved. One of the things that people also often have difficulty with is they think, well, I can't give technical details. I have to make the information so that's easily available and understandable. But the truth is it's okay to give us technical details. Just make sure that you use the variety of types of supporting material to get us to actually understand it. So if there's something that you think is going to be complex, make sure that you look at the varying types of supporting material and how you can use them to help us understand it. Tell stories. Great stories are relatable, believable, evocative, inclusive, unifying, emotive, useful, inspiring, contagious, important. Stories are important because that's how we relate to information. Pulling together a persuasive speech is going to require you to really think not only about the structure, but also about the language.